We are the atmosphere. We are the voice. We are the energy. We are the noise. We are the kingdom. We are the vibe. We are the 12th man at Arrowhead Drive.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 12th Man at Arrowhead Drive. I'm your host, Kevin Britton. Be sure to tune in every Sunday and Wednesday here on Stadium Drive Sports for all of your Chiefs content, especially right now as we move closer to the draft, just a couple weeks away. And today we are going to be talking Chiefs draft strategies. Specifically in the first round, should they be looking to move up? Should they be staying pat with pick number 29 and 30? Or should they be looking to trade back? We will talk about all of that right after this.
We won't help you shave 2 strokes off of your golf game, but we will help you win your fantasy league. Want to take home the prize and the pride in your fantasy football league? Don't worry, we got you covered. Tune in to Fantasize This right here on Stadium Drive Sports.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and hop right into it here today. So I have identified the 5 main positions that the Chiefs should be looking to draft early in the 2022 draft. And I have those ranked out by importance as well. The first being the defensive end position. So currently our main contributors coming into the 2022 season would be expected to be Frank Clark, Mike Danna, and Joshua Kaindoh. Now, I don't think Danna is starting caliber. I think he is a very good rotational piece. Kaindoh, rookie last year, injured for the majority of the year, so we don't even really know what we have there. And then we all know Frank Clark has been very underwhelming. So I think we definitely need a starter in that position. If not 2, if we decide to go ahead and let Frank Clark come off of the bench or rotate in. So defensive end by far and away for me is the number 1 spot. Now behind that, number 2, I have cornerback. So right now we have Snead, Fenton, and Baker. That would be our main contributors in the upcoming season. Snead, perfectly fine. I think Snead's an absolute stud. Fenton, I like Fenton. Fenton could be more of a 2 or 3, depending on if you're bringing in a slot guy or an outside corner. And then Baker, I think Baker's a solid number 4. He, didn't live up to the hype of a first-round pick when he was taken by the Giants, but still a just fine for a number 4 corner on the team. So I think we should be looking at either an outside number 2 cornerback to play alongside Snead, and then bring in Fenton in the nickel package and slide Snead into the slot. Or we could be looking to simply bring in a slot and have Snead and Fenton as our outside corners. So we can see which route we could potentially go at the cornerback position. The number 3 position for me is going to be the wide receiver position. Now currently we have Juju Smith-Schuster, we have Marquez Valdes-Scantling, we have Mecole Hardman, and then we have some other guys kind of depth behind there. But I think it is very possible that we still are looking for that true number 1 receiver. There's been a lot of smoke about the Chiefs calling around to other teams, asking about number 1 receivers. Now, could that just be smoke? It's possible, but when there's this much smoke, typically there is fire behind that as well. But we could be looking for that number 1 receiver because we have a lot of guys that actually prefer and do their best work out of the slot. So it would make sense to go get an outside wide receiver for this team. The 4th spot of need for me would be safety. We have Justin Reed. We have Juan Thornhill. Beyond that, we have Deon Bush, who we brought in from Chicago. And then we have some guys that were on the practice squad last year. So I don't know if Deon Bush is ready to play the role of the number 3 safety on this team or not. So we could be looking to kind of upgrade there, be able to have him as a 4 and kind of create better depth at the safety spot. So I think we could be looking for a 3rd safety. And then also my last spot we could be looking for a third guy on would be the linebacker spot. So we have Willie Gay, we have Nick Bolton. Right now our third guy would be Jermaine Carter. Not a bad player. I think he is more of a depth piece though, more of a number 4 linebacker. So I do think we could use that number 3 linebacker on this team. So having identified the main needs early in the draft, that kind of poses a question, like how do you go about properly filling those positions? Do you need to move up in the draft? Do you just need to stay put? Do you need to move back and be able to get more picks? Well, moving back would be nice to fill depth on the team, but we look at it and through our main needs, that was 5 positions. In the first 3 rounds, we have 6 draft picks. So if we were to hit on 5 of 6 through the first 3 rounds, I think we would be filling all of those positions. So now we look at, do we need to move up or are we okay to just stay pat? So with my biggest need being defensive end, I kind of start my eyes there and see what the defensive end position looks like in this draft. And as you kind of look through defensive end and really all of the positions within this draft, you're going to find the draft actually, as much as people are trying to be down on this draft, it has really good depth at all of our positions of need, but the issue is it's limited on the high end talent. So at the defensive end position, there are really, in my opinion, 4 guys that are in the top tier this year, which at least 2 of them are going to be gone in the first 5 picks, and there's just no way we're going to give up draft capital to go all the way up there. So how far do the 2 remaining guys slide? Now I think Hutchinson, I do believe Hutchinson will go number 1 overall, defensive end out of Michigan. But then you have the number 2 defensive end, which could be Walker, could be Thibodeau. I think it'll be one of those 2, which leaves the 1 remaining out of them and Jermaine Johnson as your final kind of 2 top tier out of this draft. So we have to look at how far do they slide and at what point are we willing to give up the capital it takes to be able to move up in the draft. I think they would at least have to be in like the late teens if they were to slide to somewhere between 17 to 20 or so. I think we would have to give strong consideration for one of those 2 defensive ends that are in that top tier to move up and get them. Now, if they don't fall far enough for us to be comfortable to get them, at that point, we stay put. There are some guys that should be there at the end of the first round that are kind of in that second tier of defensive ends that I would be happy with. I think the upside might not be quite as high as that top tier, but I think right off the bat we would be able to see an impact from them. So when we talk about will we move up in the draft, my last mock draft, I kind of wanted to play with some scenarios and see what would it look like if the Chiefs did move up, if they overpaid even to move up to get a guy that they really liked. And I wanted to see how the rest of the draft class kind of fell after that. And I was pretty satisfied with it. You guys feel free to go back and check out my last mock draft with the trades, and you can kind of see how that draft went. But I feel like if we do need to move up, we can do so. If one of the guys we want is there, we can move up to go get them. And with the fact that we have 8 picks within the first 4 rounds, we do have enough draft capital to move up. Overpay if you absolutely need to for a guy that you really love. Obviously, we would prefer them not to overpay. But if they do, I won't freak out because I know there's enough depth through those first 4 rounds at all the positions that we need that we would be able to fill those properly. And I'm going to give you guys some names of some players that I have my eye on in this draft for some of these positions that we're looking for. And we'll do that right after this.
Welcome, Royals Empire. You now have an informative, interactive show made right here in Kansas City and made just for the Royals fans. Hosted by me, Sean Barr. Let me take you down the Royal way as you indulge yourself with some great Royals coverage along with coverage around the league. Plus a variety of fun segments. Might even learn a thing or 2, even for the avid fan. Come join me. This is the Royal Way, only here on Stadium Drive Sports.
All right, guys. So I've already given you kind of the names of my top 4 defensive ends. So I'm going to give you guys a few names of each of the 5 positions. I'll try to give you like 3 names of each of the 5 positions that I think we should be looking for. And all of these guys should be within range for us if we do kind of stay put with where we are right now. So at defensive end, if we kind of stay put there at the end of the first round, I think some options there could be George Karlaftis, Boye Mafe, or Cam Thomas. I'm not really big on Karlaftis, but I do think Mafe or Thomas would be very good picks for us. They could be there at the end of the first round. They could even be there in the middle of the second potentially, depending on how the draft board does fall. At the cornerback position, there's some corners I really like that we could be within reach for. They could fall to us in the first round. That would be Kaiir Elam, Andrew Booth, and Trent McDuffie. For all 3 of those guys to go off the board, that would basically mean that 5 cornerbacks went, because there's Stingley and Sauce are definitely going to be gone well before our pick. But that would mean that we would have to have 5 corners come off the board before pick number 29. And typically you don't have that many corners come off the board that early in the draft. I think last time we had that many come off was like 2016, I believe. So it's been a little while since we've had that many corners come off the board in the first round. Wide receiver, I'm kind of skipping over what I think the first round and kind of jump into what could be there in the second round for us. Potentially third round. Again, the draft's crazy. You never really know how it's going to fall. But Alec Pierce, George Pickens, and Sky Moore. There are a lot of rumors floating. Sky Moore could potentially be a first round pick, and it is known that the Chiefs have interest in him. But I think Sky Moore is more of that second round pick number 50 type of guy. But if you really like a guy, you definitely, you push him up the board. Safety, there's Lewis Cine, Jalen Petrie, and then Nick Cross. Nick Cross would be the later pick out of all of those 3. But I actually like Nick Cross more for the fit to this team. So that's a name that I definitely kind of have my eye on during the draft that I'm hoping to see become a Kansas City Chief. And then the linebacker position. I do think late second round, I think these guys could potentially all be there in the third round, which would be absolutely ideal if we're able to kind of go in order of these draft picks in the same order that I have them ranked. That would mean that we would be going with our first pick in the third round for the linebacker position, which we could be looking at Brian Asamoah, Chad Muma, or Troy Anderson being there with that first pick in the third round. I believe pick number 94, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. So those are some names to kind of have in your mind when you are watching the draft. And these are guys that, like, I'm excited if we draft anybody on this list. So names to keep an eye out for as we move closer to the draft. And I'm sure you'll start to hear the rumors and everything float. But I'd like to know from you guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Do you want to see the Chiefs trade up? Do you want to see them stay put? Or do you want to see them trade back when it comes to the first round? We have pick number 29 and 30. I think one of those picks I think will stay where it is. But the other one, do you think we move up, stay put, or move back? What is your preference? Let me know in the comments below. And if you guys are new to the channel, or if you have not already, feel free to subscribe. And if you guys like the content, like the video. That way we know that you guys do enjoy what we're doing here at Stadium Drive Sports. And also, if any of you guys play fantasy football, we do have a new show that's going to be launching on May the 13th. So Friday the 13th, don't be scared. But you can come and check out Fantasize This, our fantasy show that we will be giving you all of the insight, all the information that you need. So if you want to win your fantasy football league, you want to bring home the prize and the pride, we got you covered on Fantasize This. But again, I appreciate you guys tuning in to the 12th Man at Arrowhead Drive. My name is Kevin Britton. Tune in every Sunday and Wednesday for all of your Chiefs content right here on Stadium Drive Sports. Until next time.